Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto Uchiha joins the Olympians, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
The campers were in shock. They shocked about Percy being the son of Poseidon, but that trampled on by the shock of Naruto's lineage. He was the son of Hades, lord of underworld, and he related to the Amaterasu Shinto goddess. It means he had both Shinto and Greek gods' blood. Then there was Chaos, the primal deity in Greek, and Naruto related to him. It was most shocking thing to them. You are full of surprises, ninja boy, Mr. D said with smirked. Yes, Hades is your father, Chiron said uncomfortably. Do you have any clue how you are related to other two? Well, Amaterasu, she must be my grandmother and Chaos. Naruto noticed Mr. D and Chiron's nervous faces. He is my great-grandfather. How are you so sure? Chiron asked. He is the one who brought me to this world. He had left me his letter and this. Naruto said, and he pointed to bracelet on his left bicep. Both Mr. D and Chiron took a closer look of the bracelet and read a Greek phrase on it. Balance, they thought same time. What it can do? Annabeth asked who saw Naruto's bracelet. Naruto said calmly, no clue. Other sweat dropped. Well, we need to assign to you 2 new cabins, Chiron said. Percy, you will be in your father's cabin, so go get your stuff. Percy just nodded while he and Luke quickly got his stuff. Now Naruto, I am not so sure where to put you. What do you mean? Naruto said. We never had any kids from Hades or from him. This is a camp for Greek gods' children and your grandmother is Shinto goddess, so obviously we don't have her cabin. We see a. Suddenly, all campers heard a rumbling sound. It was coming from the empty space between Poseidon's and Zeus's cabins. The ground began to shake, a fissure opened up and a building as black as night, raised from the ground with the screams of the dead. The cabin was totally black and its walls had made of solid obsidian. There was a skull hung over the door. There had torches front of the door, which was burning with green fire. It was 13th cabin, Hades' cabin. Well, now we have Hades' cabin, Mr. D said. Then he turned his head toward campers. Now show is over, so back to your respective cabin. All campers went to their respective cabin. Mr. D also went with them. Only Naruto and Chiron were standing alone there. Anything you want, Chiron? Naruto asked. Chiron said, yes. He pointed toward the red symbol on his back. Whose symbol is this? Juubi's eyes symbol. This is my symbol, Naruto said and turned around and he started walking toward his cabin. Suddenly he stopped and glanced up at the pine tree. It is interesting, isn't it? Now camp has all 3 children of Big 3, he said to Chiron. Chiron said, what? I am talking about me, Percy and Talia. How do you know about her? Did Grover tell you about this? Yes and no. I did know about it from the first day of camp. So, who told you this? Talia herself tells me this. How this possible? Chiron, I am the son of Hades. It was easy for me to see her spirit from inside the tree. Chiron said, then why? He saw Naruto wasn't even there. I'll ask him about it tomorrow, he thought. Wow. Talia said, that was so cool. No, that was hot, Naruto corrected her. I particularly burned that hound. Yes, it was hot, Talia said with a smile. Anything else? Yes, now, we know who are our parents. So, are you going to tell me? Yes, Percy is the Poseidon, Naruto said making Talia eyes widen. And me, I am the son of Hades and. What? Talia shouted. Why you are the son of Hades? I know our father doesn't like each other and my father is responsible for your condition. But. It's not what you're probably thinking, Naruto, Talia said. I was just surprised, because you are not acting like Hades' kids. She hugged him. I don't care, you are Hades' kid. You are perfect, which is pretty good to me, she said, with tiny pink on her cheek. Naruto surprised but hugged her back. Thanks, he said. Talia put away from the hug. You wanted to say something before, she said. Yes. Naruto said, I am the son of Hades, but I am also related to the Amaterasu Shinto goddess and Chaos. You have both Shinto and Greek god's blood, and Chaos, who is primal deity. Naruto nodded. How so? Naruto said, Amaterasu is my grandmother and Chaos is my great-grandfather. He told his remaining story to her. Could you show me your Sharingan? Talia asked. Naruto said, sure. Talia saw Naruto's eyes turned red with 3 commas-like mark on them. This is Sharingan, he said. Then his eyes changed again. Now, they had 8-pointed star with a strange design in the middle. And this is Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. It is an advanced form of the Sharingan. His eyes turned back in his normal dark blue color. They are cool, but I always like your dark blue eyes. They are beautiful. Naruto smiled and said, and you're the prettiest girl I've ever met. Talia smiled back and blushed slightly. I promise you, soon I'll find a way to get you out from here. Really? Talia asked hopefully. Yes, after that would you like to go out with me? Naruto asked. Why you mean a date? Naruto nodded. I would like to go out with you, Talia said, with a new blush on her face. Thanks. Anyway, I should get going, Naruto said. Oh, one more thing, I told Chiron that I can talk to you. So how did he take it? I didn't stop there too long, but he was shocked, Naruto said. Well, anyway I will know his reaction tomorrow. Talia nodded. Okay, goodbye, she said, giving him another hug. She saw he disappeared. Naruto found himself in a dark void. Okay, I am supposed to in the camp, not here. He looked around and noticed there was nothing but darkness. Where am I? He shouted. You are in the void, unknown voice said from behind him. Turning back, he saw it was humanoid figure. He was totally black and had white pupil-less eyes. Who are you? Naruto said and activated his Sharingan. This is a way to talk to your great-grandfather. Why you are? You. Chaos. Yes, I am Chaos, your great-grandfather, Chaos said and his form shifted. Naruto saw his great-grandfather, who had now midnight black hair, pale skin and same pupil-less eyes. He looked like his grandfather, Madara. Or my grandfather looked like him, Naruto thought. Now I am not being rude, but why are you here? Naruto asked. Chaos smiled. Naruto, I came here to see you, he said. Okay, I want to ask you a question. Why? Why I was chosen for destroying the Juubi? It is simple, Naruto. The Juubi was progenitor of the ninja world. It would have brought great destruction, if Toby would have succeeded to revive it. It was necessary to destroy it. Then why me? Because Juubi was the harbinger of death and chaos, and you have death and chaos blood in you. Also you have the blood of both Shinto and Greek's god, Chaos said. And we believed in you for Juubi power. Thanks for believing in me, but not means I like it, Naruto said. I know about your early life's pain and suffering, Chaos said. But it's your chance for a fresh start and I know you are doing it well. You have already got a girlfriend. Talia is not my girlfriend. Naruto shouted, with blush on his face. I didn't say the Talia's name, Chaos said with a smirk. Smart ass, Naruto muttered. Chaos puts a hand on his head and he glowed for a moment. What was that? He asked. I strengthened your god's blood, Chaos said. So, anything you want to ask? Yes, Naruto said. He pointed toward bracelet on his left shoulder. What it does? You will find about it later, Chaos said. And one more thing you have to know. On your journey you will meet another family member. Naruto nodded. Goodbye, great-grandson. Goodbye, Naruto said. He found himself beside Talia tree. The next morning, Percy had a great day. He had his own cabin, which he didn't have to share with anybody. He had plenty of room for all his stuff, the Minotaur's horn, one set of spare clothes, and a toiletry bag, and he got to sit at his own dinner table, pick all his own activities, call, lights out, whenever he felt like it, and not listen to anybody else. And he was absolutely miserable. Just when Percy had started to feel accepted, to feel he had a home in cabin 11 and he might be a normal kid, or as normal as you can be when you're a half-blood, he had been separated out as if he had some rare disease. Nobody mentioned the Hellhound, but he got the feeling they were all talking about it behind his back. The attack had scared everybody. It sent 3 messages. 1. That he was the son of the sea god. 2nd, Naruto was the son of Hades, the god of the underworld, and related Shinto sun goddess Amaterasu and primal deity Chaos. And 3, monsters would stop at nothing to kill them. They could even invade a camp that had always been considered safe. The other campers steered clear of them as much as possible. Percy also noticed, some campers were looking toward Naruto with fear and some with great admiration, and some girls were looking toward him with a blush. Cabin 11 was too nervous to have sword class with Percy after what he had done for the Ares folks in the woods, so his lessons with Luke became one-on-one. He pushed him harder than ever, and wasn't afraid to bruise him up in the process. "You're going to need all the training you can get," Luke promised, as they were working with swords and flaming torches. "Now let's try that Viper beheading strike again." 50 more repetitions. Annabeth still taught Percy Greek in the mornings, but she seemed distracted. Every time he said something, she scowled at him, as if he had just poked her between the eyes. After lessons, she would walk away muttering to herself, "Quest. Poseidon. Dirty rotten. Got to make a plan." Even Clarice kept her distance, though her venomous looks made it clear she wanted to kill Percy for breaking her magic spear. One night Percy came into his cabin and found a mortal newspaper dropped inside the doorway, a copy of the New York Daily News, opened to the Metro page. The article took him almost an hour to read, because the angrier he got, the more the words floated around on the page. Boy and mother still missing after freak car accident. By Eileen Smythe. Sally Jackson and son Percy are still missing 1 week after their mysterious disappearance. The family's badly burned, 78 Camaro was discovered last Saturday on a North Long Island road with the roof ripped off and the front axle broken. The car had flipped and skidded for several hundred feet before exploding. Mother and son had gone for a weekend vacation to Montauk, but left hastily, under mysterious circumstances. Small traces of blood were found in the car and near the scene of the wreck, but there were no other signs of the missing Jacksons. Residents in the rural area reported seeing nothing unusual around the time of the accident. Ms. Jackson's husband, Gabe Ugliano, claims that his stepson, Percy Jackson, is a troubled child who has been kicked out of numerous boarding schools and has expressed violent tendencies in the past. Police would not say whether son Percy is a suspect in his mother's disappearance, but they have not ruled out foul play. Below are recent pictures of Sally Jackson and Percy. Police urge anyone with information to call the following toll-free Crime Stoppers hotline. The phone number circled in black marker. Percy wadded up the paper and threw it away, then flopped down on his bunk bed in the middle of his empty cabin. "Lights out, Percy," Naruto voice said, from behind him. "What the hell? Naruto. Don't do that," Percy said. Naruto just smirked. "And where have you been all these days?" "Busy with training and some problem," Naruto said. "I was busy to give whole explanation about Talia to Chiron, Mr. Chiron, Annabeth, Grover and Luke," Naruto said. "Well, Mr. D didn't care anything about that. Chiron was happy about it. Grover was bouncing off the trees, much to my annoyance, and Annabeth was very happy. And Luke, he is." "Naruto. Naruto," Percy shouted. What is it with you? Why are you so spaced out?" "Nothing," Naruto said. "See you soon." He disappeared with a flock of crows. "Weird," Percy said to himself. Later that night, both Naruto and Percy had the same dream. The dream where Poseidon and Zeus were fighting in Greek armor and Hades was cheering them from the sidelines with his ghost cheerleaders. Then suddenly, a voice, which seemed to be from the underground, woke him up. "Come down, little heroes," the voice crooned. "Come down." The sand split beneath both of them, opening up a crevice straight down to the center of the earth. Percy's feet slipped, and darkness swallowed him. He disappeared. So Percy wakes up, Naruto thought. He was standing midair. He looked at the darkness under his feet and saw that 2 evil eyes were looking at him. "Who are you?" Naruto asked with a cold tone. "What is this? No fear." Naruto said, "I have no fear from coward like you." He felt killing intent coming from it. "An insolent child, I will have to teach you some manners." "No thanks," Naruto said. He activated his Sharingan and sent his own killing intent. "This is my mind and you are not welcome here." With that image of Black Dragon materialized behind him, who roared loudly and sent shockwave everywhere. Dream world disappeared and Naruto woke up. Naruto heard a Grover voice from his cabin. "Naruto, open the door, I got Percy, we have to get to the big house." He opened the door and saw Grover was scared to his cabin. "Why?" Naruto asked. "Just hurry." "Okay, give me 2 minutes." Naruto walked back in and a few minutes later, he was in his usual attire. "Let's go." He put a hand on Grover's shoulder and both disappeared. They appeared beside Percy. "I felt dizzy," Grover said. Naruto ignored him and looked toward Percy, who was in deep thought. A penny for your thoughts, he said. Huh, Naruto, Percy said. He saw a Naruto clam face. I don't understand how you can be so calm. I mean, we are a couple of kids that should not exist. Simple. I don't care. I should have known, Percy thought. They saw over Long Island Sound. A hazy curtain of rain was coming in the direction. Percy asked, we need an umbrella. No, Grover said. It never rains here unless we want it to. Naruto doesn't say anything. At the volleyball pit, they saw the kids from Apollo's cabin were playing a morning game against the Satyrs. Dionysus's twins were walking around in the strawberry fields, making the plants grow. Everybody was going about the normal business, but they looked tense. They kept their eyes on the storm. Percy, Grover and Naruto walked up to the front porch of the big house. Dionysus sat at the pinochle table in his tiger-striped Hawaiian shirt with his Diet Coke, and Chiron sat across the table in his fake wheelchair. They were playing against invisible opponents, 2 sets of cards hovering in the air. Well, Mr. D said without looking up. Our little celebrities. Thanks for welcome, Naruto said. Come closer, Mr. D said. And don't expect me to kowtow to you, mortal, just because old Barnacle Beard is your father. Then he looked toward Naruto. Same to you. A net of lightning flashed across the clouds. Thunder shook the windows of the house. Blah, 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 Dionysus said. Chiron feigned interest in his pinochle cards. Grover cowered by the railing, his hooves clopping back and forth. If I had my way, Dionysus said, I would cause your molecules to erupt in flames. We'd sweep up the ashes and be done with a lot of trouble. But Chiron seems to feel this would be against my mission of this cursed camp, to keep your little brats safe from harm. Well, I don't need protection, Naruto said, you know what I want. I want to get out of here, and want to battle with monsters. It's so boring here. Mr. D smirked at his answer. Spontaneous combustion is a form of harm, Mr. D, Chiron said. Nonsense, Dionysus said. He looked toward Percy. Boy wouldn't feel a thing. Nevertheless, I've agreed to restrain myself. I'm thinking of turning you into a dolphin instead, sending you back to your father. Mr. D, Chiron warned. Oh, all right, Dionysus relented. There's one more option, but it's deadly foolishness. Dionysus rose, and the invisible player's cards dropped to the table. I'm off to Olympus for the emergency meeting. If the boy Percy is still here when I get back, I'll turn him into an Atlantic bottlenose. Do you understand? And Perseus Jackson, if you're at all smart, you'll see that's a much more sensible choice than what Chiron feels you must do. Dionysus picked up a playing card, twisted it, and it became a plastic rectangle. A security pass. He snapped his fingers. The air seemed to fold and bend around him. He became a hologram, then a wind, and then he was gone, leaving only the smell of fresh pressed grapes lingering behind. That was good, but mine is better, Naruto thought. Chiron smiled at both of them, but he looked tired and strained. Sit, Percy and Naruto, please. And Grover. They did. Chiron laid his cards on the table. Tell me, boys, he said. What did you make of the Hellhound? It scared me, Percy said. Only thanks to Naruto I am not dead yet. Naruto said, it was weak, just like that bull. Others' sweat dropped. Okay, you'll face strong opponent, Naruto, Chiron said. And you Percy, you'll meet worse. Far worse, before you're done. Done. With what? Percy asked. Chiron said, your quest, of course. Will you accept it? Naruto nodded and Percy glanced at Grover, who was crossing his fingers. Sir, Percy said, you haven't told me what it is yet. Chiron grimaced. Well, that's the hard part, the details. Thunder rumbled across the valley. The storm clouds had now reached the edge of the beach. As far as they could see, the sky and the sea were boiling together. Hades, Poseidon and Zeus, Percy said. They're fighting over something valuable. Something that was stolen, aren't they? Chiron and Grover exchanged looks. Chiron sat forward in his wheelchair. How did you know that? Percy looked embarrassed at that for some reason. The weather since Christmas has been weird, like the sea and the sky are fighting. Then I talked to Annabeth, and she'd overheard something about a theft. And I've also been having these dreams. I knew it, Grover said. Hush, Satyr, Chiron ordered. But it is his quest. Grover's eyes were bright with excitement. It must be. Only the Oracle can determine. Chiron stroked his bristly beard. Nevertheless, Percy, you are correct. Your father and Zeus are having their worst quarrel in centuries. They are fighting over something valuable that was stolen. To be precise, a lightning bolt. Of course Hades is merely egging him on for his own amusement. Percy laughed nervously. Or what? Do not take this lightly, Chiron warned. I'm not talking about some tinfoil-covered zigzag you'd see in a second-grade play. I'm talking about a 2-foot-long cylinder of high-grade celestial bronze, capped on both ends with the god-level explosives. Oh, Zeus's master bolt, Chiron said, getting worked up now. The symbol of his power, from which all other lightning bolts are patterned. The first weapon made by the Cyclopes for the war against the Titans, the bolt that sheared the top of Mount Etna and hurled Kronos from his throne, the master bolt, which packs enough power to make mortal hydrogen bombs look like firecrackers. And it's missing. Stolen, Chiron said. By who? By whom? Chiron corrected. Once a teacher, always a teacher. By you too. Percy's mouth fell open, while Naruto raised his ear bow. At least, Chiron held up a hand, that's what Zeus thinks. During the winter solstice, at the last council of the gods, Zeus and Poseidon had an argument. The usual nonsense, Mother Rhea always liked you best, air disasters are more spectacular than sea disasters, etc. Afterward, Zeus realized his master bolt was missing, taken from the throne room under his very nose. He immediately blamed Poseidon. Now, a god cannot usurp another god's symbol of power directly, that is forbidden by the most ancient of divine laws. But Zeus believes your father convinced a human hero to take it. But we didn't. Patience and listen, child, Chiron said. Zeus has good reason to be suspicious. The forges of the Cyclopes are under the ocean, which gives Poseidon some influence over the makers of his brother's lightning. Zeus believes Poseidon has taken the master bolt, and is now secretly having the Cyclopes build an arsenal of illegal copies, which might be used to topple Zeus from his throne. The only thing Zeus wasn't sure about was which hero Poseidon used to steal the bolt. Now Poseidon has openly claimed you as his son. You were in New York over the winter holidays. You could easily have snuck into Olympus. Zeus believes he has found his thief. Then why me? Naruto asked. You are the son of Hades. He and Zeus don't like to each other. Zeus thinks that Hades is conspiring with Poseidon to get a copy or the real thing as he wants to take Zeus's rule away, Chiron said. Whatever, I don't care, Naruto said calmly. Percy said, but I've never even been to Olympus. Zeus is crazy. Chiron and Grover glanced nervously at the sky. The clouds didn't seem to be parting around them, as Grover had promised. They were rolling straight over our valley, sealing them in like a coffin lid. Percy, Grover said. We don't use the C word to describe the Lord of the Sky. Perhaps paranoid, Chiron suggested. Then again, Poseidon has tried to unseat Zeus before, same with Hades. I believe that was question 38 on your final exam. He looked at Percy as if he actually expected him to remember question 38. How could anyone accuse me of stealing a god's weapon? I couldn't even steal a slice of pizza from Gabe's poker party without getting busted, Percy thought. He saw Chiron was waiting for an answer. Something about a golden net. He guessed. Poseidon and Hera and a few other gods. They, like, trapped Zeus and wouldn't let him out until he promised to be a better ruler, right? Correct, Chiron said. And Zeus has never trusted Poseidon and Hades. Poseidon denies stealing the master bolt. He took great offense at the accusation. The two have been arguing back and forth for months, threatening war. Hades just said he didn't, not feeling like starting a war for he already has too much work. And now, you two have come along, the proverbial last straw. Percy, Grover cut in, if you were Zeus, and you already thought your brothers was plotting to overthrow you, then your brothers suddenly admitted that they had broken the sacred oath he took after World War II, that they have fathered a couple of new mortal heroes who might be used as a weapon against you. Wouldn't that put a twist in your toga? But I didn't do anything. Poseidon, my dad, he didn't really have this master bolt stolen, did he? Chiron sighed. Most thinking observers would agree that thievery is not Poseidon's or Hades' style. But the sea god is too proud to try convincing Zeus of that, and Hades has just become too lazy. Zeus has demanded that they return the bolt by the summer solstice. That's June 21st, 10 days from now. Poseidon wants an apology for being called a thief by the same date, and Hades doesn't care either way, just that this matter be solved before he is overloaded. I hoped that diplomacy might prevail, that Hera or Demeter or Hestia would make the three brothers see sense. But your arrival has inflamed Zeus's temper. Now neither god will back down. Unless someone intervenes, unless the Master Bolt is found and returned to Zeus before the solstice, there will be war. And do you know what a full-fledged war would look like, Percy? Bad. Percy guessed. Imagine the world in chaos. Nature at war with itself. Olympians forced to choose sides between Zeus, Poseidon and Hades. Destruction. Carnage. Millions dead. Western civilization turned into a battleground so big it will make the Trojan War look like a water balloon fight. Bad. Percy repeated. And you too, Percy Jackson and Naruto Uchiha would be the first two to feel the Zeus's wrath. It started to rain. Volleyball players stopped the game and stared in stunned silence at the sky. Percy had a dumbstruck look on his face and Naruto showed no emotion. I am waiting for it. Naruto thought. So I have to find the stupid bolt, Percy said. And return it to Zeus. What better peace offering, Chiron said, than to have the son of Poseidon and the son of Hades return Zeus's property. If Poseidon doesn't have it, where is the thing? Percy asked. I believe I know. Chiron's expression was grim. Part of a prophecy I had years ago. Well, some of the lines make sense to me, now. But before I can say more, you must officially take up the quest. You must seek the counsel of the oracle. Why can't you tell me where the bolt is beforehand? Because if I did, then you would be too afraid to accept the challenge. Percy swallowed. Good reason. You two agree then, Chiron said. Percy looked at Grover, who nodded encouragingly. Easy for him. Zeus doesn't want to kill, Percy thought. All right, he said. It's better than being turned into a dolphin. All of them looked toward Naruto. I had already said yes, Naruto said. Then it's time you two consulted the oracle, Chiron said. Go upstairs to the attic. When you come back down, assuming you two is still sane, we will talk more. Naruto and Percy went up 4 floors that ended under a green trapdoor. Percy pulled the cord. The door swung down, and a wooden ladder clattered into place. The warm air from above smelled like mildew and rotten wood and something else. A smell they remembered from biology class. Reptiles, the smell of snakes. Both of them held their breath and climbed. The attic was filled with Greek hero junk, armor stands covered in cobwebs. Once bright shields pitted with rust, old leather steamer trunks plastered with stickers saying ITHAKA, Circe, S-Isle, and Land of the Amazons. One long table was stacked with glass jars filled with pickled things, severed hairy claws, huge yellow eyes, and various other parts of monsters. A dusty mounted trophy on the wall looked like a giant snake's head, but with horns and a full set of shark's teeth. The plaque reads, Hydra Head No. 1, Woodstock, NY, 1969. By the window, sitting on a wooden tripod stool, was the most gruesome memento of all, a mummy. Not the wrapped in cloth kind, but a human female body shriveled to a husk. She wore a tie-dyed sundress, lots of beaded necklaces, and a headband over long black hair. The skin of her face was thin and leathery over her skull, and her eyes were glassy white slits, as if the real eyes had been replaced by marbles. She'd been dead a long, long time. She sat up on her stool and opened her mouth. A green mist poured from the mummy's mouth, coiling over the floor in thick tendrils, hissing like 20,000 snakes. Percy stumbled over himself trying to get to the trapdoor, but it slammed shut. Then they heard a voice in their heads. I am the spirit of Delphi, speaker of the prophecies of Phoebus Apollo, slayer of the mighty Python. Approach, seeker, and ask. I wanted to say, no thanks, wrong door, just looking for the bathroom. Naruto saw this was freaking out Percy. Calm down, Percy. Take a breath. We will say same time, he said. Percy nodded. What is my destiny? They asked at the same time. The mist swirled more thickly, collecting right in front of me and around the table with the pickled monster part jars. Suddenly there were 4 men sitting around the table, playing cards. Their faces became clearer. It was Smelly Gabe and his buddies, along with Kakashi. This is just an illusion, Naruto thought. Gabe turned to Percy and spoke in the rasping voice of the oracle. You shall go west, and face the god who has turned. Kakashi said in the same voice, great-grandson of chaos will show his true face. Gabe's buddy on the right looked up and said in the same voice, you shall find what was stolen, and see it safely returned. The guy on the left threw in 2 poker chips, then said, you shall be betrayed by one who calls you a friend. Finally, Eddie delivered the worst line of all, and you shall fail to save what matters most, in the end. Percy was too stunned to say anything, but as the mist retreated, coiling into a huge green serpent and slithering back into the mouth of the mummy, he cried, "Wait. What do you mean? What friend? What will I fail to save?" The tail of the mist snake disappeared into the mummy's mouth. She reclined back against the wall. Her mouth closed tight, as if it hadn't been open in 100 years. The attic was silent again, abandoned, nothing but a room full of mementos. "Let's get out of here," Naruto said. "Well?" Chiron asked. They slumped into a chair at the pinochle table. "She said I would retrieve what was stolen," Percy said. Grover sat forward, chewing excitedly on the remains of a Diet Coke can. "That's great. What did the Oracle say exactly?" Chiron pressed. "This is important." Percy said, She said I would go west and face a god who had turned. I would retrieve what was stolen and see it safely returned." "I knew it," Grover said. Chiron didn't look satisfied. "Anything else?" Percy didn't want to tell him. "No," he said. "That's about it." Chiron turned toward Naruto and asked, "And you, Naruto?" "Great-grandson of the chaos will show his true face," Naruto said. Chiron said, "Very well, Percy and Naruto. But know this, the Oracle's words often have double meanings. Don't dwell on them too much. The truth is not always clear until events come to pass." Percy got the feeling Chiron knew he was holding back something bad, and he was trying to make him feel better. "Okay," he said, anxious to change topics. "So where do I go? Who's this god in the west?" Think, Percy," Chiron said. "If Zeus and Poseidon weaken each other in a war, who stands to gain? Somebody else who wants to take over." Percy guessed. "Yes, quite. Someone who has been unhappy with his lot since the world was divided eons ago, whose kingdom would grow powerful with the deaths of millions, someone who hates his brothers for forcing him into an oath to have no more children, an oath that both of them have now broken." "My father, Hades," Naruto answered his question. Chiron nodded. "The Lord of the Dead is the only possibility." A scrap of aluminum dribbled out of Grover's mouth. "Whoa, wait. What?" Percy also surprised. "Why you don't want to defend your father?" he asked to Naruto. "Percy, a few days ago, I don't even know his name. So why should I defend him, who was unknown to me, in my whole life?" Naruto said. Other surprised at his answer. "Do you hate your father, Naruto?" Chiron asked. "No," Naruto said. "Just I want to know about him more." Chiron nodded. "A Fury came after Percy," Chiron said. "She watched the young man until she was sure of his identity, then tried to kill him." "Furies obey only one lord, Hades." "Yes, but Hades hates all heroes," Grover protested. "Especially if he has found out Percy is a son of Poseidon. He doesn't have a problem with Naruto, because he is his son." "A hellhound got into the forest," Chiron continued. "Those can only be summoned from the fields of punishment, and it had to be summoned by someone within the camp. Hades must have a spy." "Chiron," Naruto said, "you have forgotten one major point." "What do you mean?" Naruto said, "Zeus also blames Hades for stealing his bolt. So, if war happens, it is also possible that Hades will join in Zeus and Poseidon fight." Chiron nodded and asked, "If it's not Hades, then who he is?" "You already know my answer. The person, who is more evil and darker than my father." Chiron shocked. "Why you mean, him?" he asked. "Yes. What you're talking about?" Percy asked. "It's better for you don't know anything about this," Chiron said. "For now, you and Naruto must go to the underworld, find the Master Bolt, and reveal the truth." This was suicide, Percy thought. "Look, if we know it's Hades," he told Chiron, "why can't we just tell the other gods? Zeus or Poseidon could go down to the underworld and bust some heads." "Suspecting and knowing are not the same," Chiron said. "Besides, even if the other gods suspect Hades, and I imagine Poseidon does, they couldn't retrieve the bolt themselves. Gods cannot cross each other's territory except by invitation. That is another ancient rule. Heroes, on the other hand, have certain privileges. They can go anywhere, challenge anyone, as long as they're bold enough and strong enough to do it. No god can be held responsible for a hero's actions. Why do you think the gods always operate through humans? You're saying I'm being used. I'm saying it's no accident Poseidon has claimed you now. It's a very risky gamble, but he's in a desperate situation. He needs you. My dad needs me, Percy thought. He didn't know whether to feel resentful or grateful or happy or angry. Poseidon had ignored him for 12 years. Now suddenly he needed him. You've known I was Poseidon's son all along, haven't you? Percy asked. And for Naruto as well, being the son of Hades and all. I had my suspicions. As I said, I've spoken to the Oracle, too. So let me get this straight, Percy said. I'm supposed to go to the underworld and confront the Lord of the Dead. Check, Chiron said. Find the most powerful weapon in the universe. Check. And get it back to Olympus before the summer solstice, in 10 days. That's about right. Percy looked at Grover, who gulped down the ace of hearts. Did I mention that Maine is very nice this time of year? Grover asked weakly. You don't have to go, Percy told him. I can't ask that of you. Oh. Grover shifted his hooves. No. It's just that Saturn's an underground places. Well. He took a deep breath, and then stood, brushing the shredded cards and aluminum bits off his t-shirt. You and Naruto saved my life. If you two are serious about wanting me along, I won't let you two down. Percy felt so relieved he wanted to cry, though, that is very heroic. All the way, G-man. Percy turned to Chiron. So where do we go? The Oracle just said to go west. The entrance to the underworld is always in the west. It moves from age to age, just like Olympus. Right now, of course, it's in America. Where? Chiron looked surprised. I thought that would be obvious enough. The entrance to the underworld is in Los Angeles. Oh. Percy said. Naturally, so we just get on a plane. No. Grover shrieked. Percy, what are you thinking? Have you ever been on a plane in your life? Percy shook his head in the negative. Percy, think, Chiron said. You are the son of the sea god. Your father's bitterest rival is Zeus, lord of the sky. Your mother knew better than to trust you on an airplane. You would be in Zeus's domain. You would never come down again alive. Then what about me? Naruto asked. To be honest, I am not sure, Chiron said thoughtfully. Overhead, lightning crackled. Thunder boomed. Okay, Percy said, determined not to look at the storm. So, I'll travel overland. That's right, Chiron said. 2 companions may accompany you too. Grover is one. The other has already volunteered, if you will accept her help. Gee, Percy said, feigning surprise. Who else would be stupid enough to volunteer for a quest like this? Last champion is Annabeth, Naruto said. Am I right, Chiron? He looked behind Chiron. The air shimmered behind Chiron. Annabeth became visible, stuffing her Yankees cap into her back pocket. I've waited a long time for a quest, seaweed brain, she said. Athena is no fan of Poseidon, but if you're going to save the world, I'm the best person to keep you from messing up. Besides, we have Naruto here to protect us. She then turned to Naruto and said, can you see me even if I am invisible? Yes, Naruto said. There is nothing you can hide from my eyes. I can see you clearly. If you do say so yourself, Percy said to Annabeth. I suppose you have a plan, wise girl. Annabeth's cheeks colored. Do you want my help or not? The truth was I did. I needed all the help I could get, Percy thought. That'll work, he said. Excellent, Chiron said. This afternoon, we can take you as far as the bus terminal in Manhattan. After that, you are on your own. Lightning flashed. Rain poured down on the meadows that were never supposed to have violent weather. No time to waste, Chiron said. I think you should all get packing. See you soon there, Naruto said. His eyes turned red and he slowly sank into the ground. All other looked at the place where Naruto had disappeared. They all were still in shock. What was that? Annabeth asked. I don't know, Percy answered her. So, let me get it straight. Talia said. You, Annabeth, Grover and Poseidon's son Percy are going a quest to my father's lightning bolt. Naruto nodded. Where? She asked. To Underworld, Naruto said. He saw her sad face. But don't worry, you can talk to me anytime by your necklace. This quest is looking dangerous, so take care of yourself, Naruto, Talia said. Also, take care of Annabeth and go over to me. Naruto nodded and said, I promise you. He gave her a hug. Well, I better get going. I will see you later, Talia. Naruto, Talia said to him as he looked up in time to see Talia connect her lips to his as she kissed him. Naruto surprised by her action, but he decided to return the kiss. Talia wrapped her arms around Naruto's neck. Naruto wrapped his arms around Talia's waist and brought their bodies together. Talia was in bliss as she continued kissing Naruto and enjoyed the taste of his lips. Naruto was also enjoying this. Eventually they both separated as they came up for air, and when they did they both had their faces flushed red. Naruto was the first to speak. Wow. Talia's face was red. Good luck, Naruto, she said. Don't forget our date. And come back alive. Naruto nodded and disappeared from limbo. Naruto appeared outside the tree. Well, that was new, he said as small blush was visible on his face. He disappeared again. Percy decided to leave the Minotaur horn in his cabin, which left him only an extra change of clothes and a toothbrush to stuff in a backpack Grover had found for him. The camp store loaned him $100 in mortal money and 20 golden drachmas. These coins were as big as Girl Scout cookies and had images of various Greek gods stamped on one side and the Empire State Building on the other. Chiron said the coins might come in handy for non-mortal transaction. He gave both Annabeth and Percy each a canteen of nectar and a Ziploc bag full of ambrosia squares, to be used only in emergencies, if they were seriously hurt. It was a god food, Percy, Chiron said. It would cure you of almost any injury, but it was lethal to mortals. Too much of it would make a half-blood very, very feverish. An overdose would burn you up, literally. Well, Naruto is also there to help you. Annabeth was bringing her magic Yankees cap, which she told Percy had been a 12th birthday present from her mom. She carried a book on famous classical architecture, written in ancient Greek, to read when she got bored, and a long bronze knife, hidden in her shirt sleeve. Grover wore his fake feet and his pants to pass as human. He wore a green Rasta-style cap, because when it rained his curly hair flattened and you could just see the tips of his horns. His bright orange backpack was full of scrap metal and apples to snack on. In his pocket was a set of reed pipes his daddy goat had carved for him, even though he only knew 2 songs, Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 12 and Hilary Duff's So Yesterday, both of which sounded pretty bad on reed pipes. They waved goodbye to the other campers, took one last look at the strawberry fields, the ocean, and the big house, then hiked up Half-Blood Hill to the tall pine tree. Chiron was waiting for them in his wheelchair. Next to him stood a guy Percy had seen when he was recovering in the sick room. He was wearing a chauffeur's uniform, so Percy could only see extra peepers on his hands, face and neck. Where is Naruto? Chiron asked. We thought he was here with you, Percy said. I am here, Naruto said as he rose from the ground. He was wearing a gray shirt, black pants, black shoes, and a black jacket with hood. They saw a black raven was standing on his left shoulder. How you do that? Annabeth asked. That's my secret, Naruto said. Naruto, there is a raven on your left shoulder, Percy said. I know Percy, Naruto said. He turned to everyone. Guys, meet Karasu-chan, my partner and she are our 5th member. Hello, Karasu said in famine voice. Did that bird just talked in my head? Grover said. Yes, I can talk. Where did you get her, Naruto? Percy asked. She is the last thing my mother left to me. Karasu-chan is part of her own soul, Naruto said sadly. Hello Karasu, welcome to team, Annabeth said. Thanks, Karasu said. Chiron, Naruto said. He gave Chiron a black feather. If you want to contact us, use this. This is Karasu-chan feather. Throw it and she will be there. Thanks, Naruto, Chiron said. This is Argus. He will drive you into the city, and, well, keep an eye on things. They heard footsteps behind them. They saw Luke came running up the hill, carrying basketball shoes. Hey, Luke said. Glad I caught you. Annabeth blushed, the way she always did when Luke was around. Just wanted to say good luck, he said to Percy. And I thought, maybe you could use these. He handed Percy the sneakers, which looked pretty normal. Luke said, Maya. White bird's wings sprouted out of the heels, startling Percy so much, he dropped them. The shoes flapped around on the ground until the wings folded up and disappeared. Awesome, Grover said. Luke smiled. Those served me well when I was on my quest. Gift from Dad. Of course, I don't use them much these days, he said with a sad expression. Percy didn't know what to say. Hey, man, he said. Thanks. Listen, Percy and Naruto. Luke looked uncomfortable. A lot of hopes are riding on both of you, so just kill some monsters for me, okay? Don't worry with Percy's luck, we might just run into a few, Naruto said calmly. Hey, Percy shouted. Naruto just ignored him and walked away. Don't waste more time, here, he said and disappeared. Percy and Luke shook hands. Luke patted the Grover's head between his horns, and then gave a goodbye hug to Annabeth, who looked like she might pass out. After Luke was gone, Percy said to her, "You're hyperventilating." "I'm not. You let him capture the flag instead of you, didn't you?" "Oh, why do I want to go anywhere with you, Percy?" Annabeth stomped down the other side of the hill, where a white SUV waited on the shoulder of the road. Naruto and Argus were already there. Percy picked up the flying shoes and he had a sudden bad feeling. He looked at Chiron. "I won't be able to use these, will I?" Chiron shook his head. "Luke meant well, Percy. But taking to the air. That would not be wise for you." Percy nodded, disappointed, but then he got an idea. "Hey, Grover, you want a magic item?" Grover's eyes lit up. "Me." Pretty laced the sneakers over his fake feet. "Maya," he shouted. He got off the ground okay, but then fell over sideways so his backpack dragged through the grass. The winged shoes kept bucking up and down like tiny broncos. "Practice," Chiron called after him. "You just need practice." Ah. Grover went flying sideways down the hill like a possessed lawnmower, heading toward the van. Before Percy could follow, Chiron caught his arm. "I should have trained you better, Percy. I know Naruto doesn't need training, but you," he said. "If only I had more time. Hercules, Jason, they all got more training." "That's okay. I just wish," Percy said but stopped himself, not wanting to sound selfish and not getting a magical item to help him on his quest. "What am I thinking?" Chiron cried. "I can't let you get away without this." He pulled a pen from his coat pocket and handed it to Percy. It was an ordinary disposable ballpoint, black ink, removable cap. Probably cost 30 cents. "Gee," Percy said. "Thanks, Percy, that's a gift from your father. I've kept it for years, not knowing you were who I was waiting for. But the prophecy is clear to me now. You are the one." Percy remembered the field trip to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Chiron had thrown him a pen that turned into a sword. He took off the cap, and the pen grew longer and heavier in his hand. In half a second, he held a shimmering bronze sword with a double-edged blade, a leather-wrapped grip, and a flat hilt riveted with gold studs. It was the first weapon that actually felt balanced in his hand. "The sword has a long and tragic history that we need not go into," Chiron told me. "Its name is Anaklusmos. Riptide," Percy translated, surprised the ancient Greek came so easily. "Use it only for emergencies," Chiron said, "and only against monsters. No hero should harm mortals unless absolutely necessary, of course, but this sword wouldn't harm them in any case." Percy looked at the wickedly sharp blade. "What do you mean it wouldn't harm mortals? How could it not? The sword is celestial bronze. Forged by the Cyclopes, tempered in the heart of Mount Etna, cooled in the river Lethe. It's deadly to monsters, to any creature from the underworld, provided they don't kill you first. But the blade will pass through mortals like an illusion. They simply are not important enough for the blade to kill. And I should warn you, as a demigod, you can be killed by either celestial or normal weapons. You are twice as vulnerable." "Good to know. Now recap the pen." Percy touched the pen cap to the sword tip and instantly Riptide shrank to a ballpoint pen again. He tucked it in his pocket, a little nervous, because he was famous for losing pens at school. "You can't," Chiron said. "Can't what?" Percy asked. "Lose the pen," Chiron said. "It is enchanted. It will always reappear in your pocket. Try it." Percy was wary, but he threw the pen as far as he could down the hill and watched it disappear in the grass. "It may take a few moments," Chiron said. "Now check your pocket." Percy noticed pen was there. "Okay, that's extremely cool," Percy admitted. "But what if a mortal sees me pulling out a sword?" Chiron smiled. "Mist is a powerful thing, Percy." "Mist? Yes. Read the Iliad. It's full of references to the stuff. Whenever divine or monstrous elements mix with the mortal world, they generate mist, which obscures the vision of humans. You will see things just as they are, being a half-blood, but humans will interpret things quite differently. Remarkable, really, the lengths to which humans will go to fit things into their version of reality." Percy placed Riptide back in his pocket. "Chiron," Percy said, "when you say the gods are immortal, I mean, there was a time before them, right? 4 ages before them, actually. The time of the Titans was the 4th age, sometimes called the Golden Age, which is definitely a misnomer. This, the time of Western civilization and the rule of Zeus, is the fifth age. So what was it like before the gods? Chiron pursed his lips. Even I am not old enough to remember that, child, but I know it was a time of darkness and savagery for mortals. Kronos, the lord of the Titans, called his reign the Golden Age because men lived innocent and free of all knowledge. But that was mere propaganda. The Titan King cared nothing for your kind except as appetizers are a source of cheap entertainment. It was only in the early reign of Lord Zeus, when Prometheus the good Titan brought fire to humanity, that your species began to progress, and even then Prometheus was branded a radical thinker. Zeus punished him severely, as you may recall. Of course, eventually the gods warmed to humans, and Western civilization was born. But the gods can't die now, right? I mean, as long as Western civilization is alive, they're alive. So, even if we failed, nothing could happen so bad it would mess up everything, right? Chiron gave him a melancholy smile. No one knows how long the age of the West will last, Percy. The gods are immortal, yes. But then, so are the Titans. They still exist, locked away in their various prisons, forced to endure endless pain and punishment, reduced in power, but still very much alive. May the fates forbid that the gods should ever suffer such a doom, or that we should ever return to the darkness and chaos of the past. All we can do, child, is follow our destiny. I don't believe in destiny, nor I believe in prophecy, Naruto said. Nothing is set in stone, Chiron. Percy and Chiron surprised at this. Percy, don't waste more time here. Let's go, he said. Percy nodded dumbly. When they joined the others in the car, they saw under the pine tree, Chiron was now standing in full horseman form, holding his bow high in salute. So, you have a new weapon, Naruto said. Yes, it is called Riptide, Percy said. Naruto, you also have weapons. What are the names? Percy asked. Hornet. I called my gauntlet, Hornet, Naruto said. With black flash, a black katana appeared in his hand. And this is a She-Heim, Death Princess. Argus drove them out of the countryside and into western Long Island. Percy felt weird to be on a highway again. Annabeth and Grover sitting next to him, and Naruto was sitting on the front seat, as if they were normal carpoolers. After 2 weeks at Half-Blood Hill, the real world seemed like a fantasy. Naruto noticed Percy was staring at every McDonald's, every kid in the back of his parents' car, every billboard and shopping mall. So far so good, Percy said. 10 miles and not a single monster. Annabeth gave him an irritated look. It's bad luck to talk that way, seaweed brain. Remind me again, why do you hate me so much? I don't hate you. Could have fooled me. Annabeth folded her cap of invisibility. Look, we're just not supposed to get along, okay? Our parents are rivals. Why? She sighed. How many reasons do you want? One time my mom caught Poseidon with his girlfriend in Athena's temple, which is hugely disrespectful. Another time, Athena and Poseidon competed to be the patron god for the city of Athens. Your dad created some stupid saltwater spring for his gift. My mom created the olive tree. The people saw that her gift was better, so they named the city after her. They must really like olives. Oh, forget it. Now, if she'd invented pizza, that I could understand. I said, forget it. In that case, I and Talia would have hated each other, because of our parents, Naruto said. You know Talia, daughter of Zeus, since when? Percy asked. Naruto looked Grover and Annabeth. I thought you two have told him, he said. Told me, what? Percy asked. I can talk to Talia. How? Percy, I am the son of Hades. I can see her spirit, Naruto said. So, how she looks like? Percy said. She's the prettiest girl I've ever met, Naruto said. Percy and Grover froze. Annabeth saw this and asked, what happened with you two? Grover whispered lightly in her ear. Naruto was famous in all girls in school, but he hadn't liked any of them. He just ignored them. It is the first time we heard him talk about any girl, Percy whispered. You know I could hear both of you from here, Naruto said cold tone. Both Percy and Grover paled. Traffic slowed them down in Queens. By the time they got into Manhattan it was sunset and starting to rain. Argus dropped them at the Greyhound station on the Upper East Side, not far from Percy's mom and Gabe's apartment. Percy saw typed to a mailbox was a soggy flyer with his picture on it. Have you seen this boy? He ripped it down before Annabeth and Grover could notice, but Naruto already saw it. Argus unloaded their bags, made sure they got bus tickets, and then drove away, the eye on the back of his hand opening to watch them as he pulled out of the parking lot. Naruto noticed that Percy was looking off into the distance, probably thinking about his home. Grover shouldered Percy's backpack. You want to know why she married him, Percy? He said. Percy stared at him. Were you reading my mind or something? Just your emotions. Grover shrugged. Guess I forgot to tell you satyrs can do that. You were thinking about your mom and your stepdad, right? Percy nodded, wondering what else Grover might have forgotten to tell him. Your mom married Gabe for you, Grover told me. You call him smelly, but you've got no idea. The guy has this aura. Yuck. I can smell him from here. I can smell traces of him on you, and you haven't been near him for a week. Thanks, Percy said. Where's the nearest shower? You should be grateful, Percy. Your stepfather smells so repulsively human he could mask the presence of any demigod. As soon as I took a whiff inside his Camaro, I knew, Gabe has been covering your scent for years. If you hadn't lived with him every summer, you probably would have been found by monsters a long time ago. Your mom stayed with him to protect you. She was a smart lady. She must have loved you a lot to put up with that guy, if that makes you feel any better. It didn't, but Percy forced himself not to show it. I'll see her again, he thought. She isn't gone. Percy stared a little more into the distance until they had to move on. The rain kept coming down. Percy, Annabeth and Grover got restless waiting for the bus and decided to play some hacky sack with one of Grover's apples. Annabeth was unbelievable. She could bounce the apple off her knee, her elbow, and her shoulder, whatever. Percy wasn't too bad either. From sideline Naruto was reading a book. He saw the game. Good game. For kids, he thought. The game ended when Percy tossed the apple toward Grover and it got too close to his mouth. In one mega goat bite, their hacky sack disappeared, core, stem, and all. Grover blushed. He tried to apologize, but Annabeth and Percy were too busy cracking up. Finally the bus came. As they stood in line to board, Grover started looking around, sniffing the air like he smelled his favorite school cafeteria delicacy, enchiladas. What is it? Percy asked. I don't know, Grover said tensely. Maybe it's nothing. Something isn't right here, Naruto thought. Percy could tell it wasn't anything. He was relieved when they finally got on board and found seats together in the back of the bus. They stowed their backpacks. Annabeth kept slapping her Yankees cap nervously against her thigh. As the last passengers got on, Annabeth clamped her hand onto Percy's knee. Percy. An old lady had just boarded the bus. She wore a crumpled velvet dress, lace gloves, and a shapeless orange knit hat that shadowed her face, and she carried a big paisley purse. When she tilted her head up, her black eyes glittered. Mrs. Dodds, Percy thought. She was older, more withered, but definitely the same evil face. Percy scrunched down in his seat. Behind her came two older ladies, one in a green hat, one in a purple hat. Otherwise they looked exactly like Mrs. Dodds, same gnarled hands, paisley handbags, wrinkled velvet dresses. Triplet demon grandmothers. They sat in the front row, right behind the driver. The two on the aisle crossed their legs over the walkway, making an X. It was casual enough, but it sent a clear message: nobody leaves. The bus pulled out of the station, and they headed through the slick streets of Manhattan. She didn't stay dead long, Percy said. He was trying to keep his voice from quivering. I thought you said they could be dispelled for a lifetime. I said if you're lucky, Annabeth said. You're obviously not. Naruto said, Percy, these are the right hand my father, they probably don't stay down for long. Besides, she feels more powerful than at the museum. All three of them, Grover whimpered. Die immortals. It's okay, Annabeth said, obviously thinking hard. The Furies. The three worst monsters from the underworld. No problem. No problem. We'll just slip out the windows. They don't open, Grover moaned. A back exit, she suggested. There wasn't one, Naruto said. They won't attack us with witnesses around, Percy said. Will they? Mortals don't have good eyes, Annabeth said. Their brains can only process what they see through the mist. They'll see three old ladies killing us, won't they? Annabeth thought about it. Hard to say. But we can't count on mortals for help. Maybe an emergency exit in the roof. Quiet all of you, Naruto said. I will handle them. They reached Lincoln Tunnel, and the bus went dark except for the running lights down the aisle. It was eerily quiet without the sound of the rain. Mrs. Dodds got up. In a flat voice, as if she'd rehearsed it, she announced to the whole bus, "I need to use the restroom." "So do I," said the second sister. "So do I," said the third sister. They all started coming down the aisle. "I've got it," Annabeth said. "Percy, take my hat." "What? You're the one they want. Turn invisible and goes up the aisle. Let them pass you. Maybe you can get to the front and get away. But you guys, there's an outside chance they might not notice us," Annabeth said. "You're a son of the big three. Your smell might be overpowering." "But Naruto is also son of big three," Percy said. "Yes, but he is a son of Hades, their master," Grover said. "And I can handle myself," Naruto said. "I can't just leave you," Percy said. "Percy," Naruto said, in a cold tone, "go." Percy's hands trembled. He felt like a coward, but he took the Yankees cap and put it on. When Percy looked down, he saw his body wasn't there anymore. He started creeping up the aisle. He managed to get up 10 rows, then duck into an empty seat just as the Furies walked past. Mrs. Dodds stopped, sniffing, and looked straight at Percy. His heart was pounding. Apparently she didn't see anything. She and her sisters kept going. He made it to the front of the bus. They were almost through the Lincoln Tunnel now. He was about to press the emergency stop button when he heard the hideous wailing from the back row. The old ladies were not old ladies anymore. Their faces were still the same, but their bodies had shriveled into leathery brown hag bodies with bats' wings and hands and feet like gargoyle claws. Their handbags had turned into fiery whips. The Furies surrounded Grover and Annabeth, lashing their whips, hissing, "Where is it? Where?" The other people on the bus were screaming, cowering in their seats. They saw something. "All right. He's not here," Annabeth yelled. "He's gone. So go back to where you came from," Naruto said. The Furies raised their whip. Annabeth drew her bronze knife. Grover grabbed a tin can from his snack bag and prepared to throw it. As for Naruto, he was sitting there calmly. "Don't think just because you are the son of the master, we will go easy on you, boy," one of the furries said. "Really?" Naruto spoke in an emotionless tone. That sent chills down their spine. He looked at them with his Sharingan eyes and sent a killing intent toward them. "Because I don't think you three have enough power to handle me." Annabeth and Grover saw Furies were trembling with fear. Everything was going to okay, but again Percy had done something stupid, impulsive and dangerous. The bus driver was distracted, trying to see what was going on in his rearview mirror. Still invisible, he grabbed the wheel from him and jerked it to the left. Everybody howled as they were thrown to the right. "Hey!" the driver yelled. "Hey! Whoa!" They wrestled for the wheel. The bus slammed against the side of the tunnel, grinding metal, and throwing sparks a mile behind. The bus careened out of the Lincoln Tunnel and back into the rainstorm. People and monsters tossed around the bus, cars plowed aside like bowling pins. Somehow the driver found an exit. They shot off the highway, through half a dozen traffic lights, and ended up barreling down one of those New Jersey rural roads. There were woods to left, the Hudson River to the right, and the driver seemed to be veering toward the river. With another great idea, Percy hit the emergency brake. The bus wailed, spun a full circle on the wet asphalt, and crashed into the trees. The emergency lights came on. The door flew open. The bus driver was the first one out, the passengers yelling as they stampeded after him. Percy stepped into the driver's seat and let them pass. The Furies regained their balance. They lashed their whips at Annabeth while she waved her knife and yelled in ancient Greek, telling them to back off. Grover threw tin cans. In whole thing, Naruto didn't even move from his seat. "Idiot Percy," he thought. "Hey!" Percy yelled, taking off the hat and revealing himself. The Furies turned, bearing the yellow fangs at the son of Poseidon, and he instantly regretted it, which was easily seen thanks to his freaked-out expression. Mrs. Dodds stalked up the aisle, just as she used to do in class, like she was about to give him another failed paper. Every time she flicked her whip, red flames danced along the barbed leather. Her two ugly sisters hopped on top of the seats on either side of her and crawled toward him like huge nasty lizards. "Perseus Jackson," Mrs. Dodds said, in an accent that was definitely from somewhere further south than Georgia. "You have offended the gods. You shall die." "I liked you better as a math teacher," Percy said to her. She growled. Annabeth and Grover moved up behind the Furies cautiously, looking for an opening. Percy took the ballpoint pen out of his pocket and uncapped it. Riptide elongated into a shimmering double-edged sword. Mrs. Dodds growled. Submit now, she hissed. And you will not suffer eternal torment. Nice try, Percy said to her. Percy, look out, Annabeth cried. Mrs. Dodds lashed her whip around Percy's sword hand while the Furies on the either side lunged at him. Percy felt like his hand wrapped in molten lead, but he managed not to drop Riptide. He stuck the Fury on the left with its hilt, sending her toppling backward into a seat. He turned and sliced the Fury on the right. As soon as the blade connected with her neck, she screamed and exploded into dust. Annabeth got Mrs. Dodds in a wrestler's hold and yanked her backward while Grover ripped the whip out of her hands. Ow, he yelled. Ow, hot, hot. The Fury Percy had hilt slammed came at him again, talons ready, but he swung Riptide and she broke open like a piñata. Mrs. Dodds was trying to get Annabeth off her back. She kicked, clawed, hissed and bit, but Annabeth held on while Grover got Mrs. Dodds's legs tied up in her own whip. Finally they both shoved her backward into the aisle. Mrs. Dodds tried to get up, but she didn't have room to flap her bat wings, so she kept falling down. Zeus will destroy you, she promised. Hades will have your soul. Brachas mis vesimini, Percy yelled, which oddly meant, eat my pants. Mr. Dude somehow managed to get free herself, but before she could attack him, a hand came out of shadow, caught her in midair. That's enough, Naruto said. With his hand gestured, Shadow Hand choked her to death. She screamed and exploded into a dust. Suddenly, thunder shook the bus. Get out, Annabeth yelled. Now. They rushed outside and found the other passengers wandering around in a daze, arguing with the driver, or running around in circles yelling, "We're going to die." A Hawaiian-shirted tourist with a camera snapped Percy's photograph before he could recap his sword. Our bags, Grover realized. We left our. Boom. The windows of the bus exploded as the passengers ran for cover. Lightning shredded a huge crater in the roof. Let's go, Naruto said. We don't want more of a problem than we already have. Then he disappeared with Annabeth, Percy and Grover from there. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.